Okay, so I have the great honor and privilege of introducing our District 5 Council Member, Carrasco. Let me just tell you a little bit about her. She is a native of San Jose. She is a daughter of an immigrant cannery worker here back in the days when we had them. She is the first to graduate high school and college from her family. And she basically represents the American dream for all of us. I mean, what she's been able to do. She is the mother of 4 incredible kids. She was our past trustee of the San Jose, or the Eastside Union High School District. She actually left that position to be our wonderful council member. And this is what she wants to do for us. And if you can read it on her website, but she wants to improve public safety. She wants to create opportunity for youth. She wants to improve neighborhood services. She wants to champion ideas for good paying jobs. And she has spent her whole career helping out our families. She spent, let me see here, 10 years at the Santa Clara County Department of Family and Children's Services, helping out folks here. I already mentioned that she was part of the Eastside Union High School board. She was appointed by Governor Jerry Brown to California's First 5 Commission and the State Advisory Council on Early Learning and Care. So let's welcome to the stage here, Magdalena Carrasco. And she just walked in from another meeting, so she hasn't even taken a little break.
No, that's okay.
Welcome.
No, thank you so much. Well, hello everybody. Thank you so much for having me here. And a couple of things. Let me catch my breath first. But we were here just Saturday morning. And I think that for those of you who were here, I think, my impression, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that we at least started some very important dialogue about the current state of our district, the future of the city of San Jose, and the opportunities and possibilities that we have currently to work with the rest of our city council members, as well as our new mayor. And so, as I come in and I transition into this new role, I'm very hopeful. I know that we're facing many issues citywide, and I'm very aware of the issues that we're facing in our district. But I'm hopeful because, as you know, one vote doesn't get you anywhere. But the majority of the council seems to be moving in a direction that I think will be beneficial to our community. And I'll give you just an example of that. Yesterday we voted almost unanimously, with the exception of 2 council members, but we voted on what I consider to be a historical issue for our community, for the city of San Jose, for the state of California, which was to open to explore the idea and to open up an office for immigration services. And given the fact that with DAPA coming down the pipeline, and we will see a flood of folks that will be eligible under the new executive order that Obama signed just a few months ago. May will be the beginning of that. But we saw the flood of children that qualified under DAPA. And so now DAPA is the extension of DAPA. It's for those parents who have an American-born child who will not qualify under his executive order for temporary stay. What does that mean for our community? I'll tell you specifically. With all of those that we think are eligible, the city of San Jose will, of course, house the largest population of those in Santa Clara County. And it may be no surprise to you that the majority of those in San Jose that qualify for that, or that could possibly qualify and take advantage of that, will be here on the east side of San Jose. So when we think of the city of San Jose actually stepping up and saying, this is such an important issue to us because tens of thousands of our residents will benefit from this, can live without fear of deportation, can live without fear of being separated from their children, can actually drive lawfully, and can work, then that impacts our community greatly for many obvious reasons. But I was very proud yesterday that at least 9 of us, including the mayor, felt that was such an important issue that we passed it. And now the city manager's office has the task of exploring and developing a plan for us over the next couple of months. And this will be in conjunction with our nonprofit organizations, our CBOs, with the community, as well as with the county of Santa Clara. It's already providing great service, but with the flood, the impending flood of residents that we believe will qualify under this new executive order, there is no infrastructure that can currently handle the volume that we expect to see. So to have coordination and collaboration between the city and the county is something that we're all striving for and that we think will benefit our residents. But those are some of the things that I just wanted to put out there that I believe we have a council now and a new mayor that understands the importance of and how it will impact our residents and are willing to come and work together. So I wanted to just say that. So I'm feeling very hopeful. I was feeling very hopeful when I left here on Saturday with the great questions that everybody asked and the engagement of our community and the response from our current mayor. You may have a different opinion. I'd love to hear it, but I'm very hopeful. So a couple of things. I was asked, I was sent an email, and I was asked to discuss some of the things that I'm working on currently. And as you know, I'm just transitioned. It's only been 3 weeks, although I won my election back in June. But it's only been 3 weeks since I officially took on this role. And as a newbie, you've got to acclimate and understand what's happening on the 18th floor in the city of San Jose. But I was given an opportunity by the mayor, San Ricardo, to serve on several committees that I'm very proud of because we haven't had representation on these committees in at least the past 10 years. And one of them is the Rules and Open Government Committee, which is considered by many of the opinion that it is the most powerful committee of all of the committees. And Carrie, you seem to agree with that. So the reason why this carries such influence and such authority is because it is a very small group of council members, and including the mayor, 25 of us, that decide what goes on the agenda and what goes on before our council members. So we decide, we set the agenda. This is what the materials, the topics, the issues that actually go before the full council and get vetted there. So very proud to be serving on that one and to have had that appointment. I was also appointed as the co-chair to the Neighborhood and Education Committee. And that is anything from our library hours to community centers and the satellites, animal control, any sort of services related issue and services comes through that committee, and I was appointed as the co-chair. So because our district uses many of those city services, and because so many of our residents are actually dependent on those city services, that's an important committee to be sitting on and making sure that our residents are served well. The third committee is the Public Safety and Finance. And so we have here our wonderful Dr. Knox, who I think is doing a fabulous job. And I commend him and his team for what they've been doing with what little resources have now been given to them. Tough job because they're expected to do more with a lot less. And we are working towards a solution, and I hope that it is a solution that will serve our residents well, will support our men and women in uniform and out of uniform, or not when they get out of uniform, but those on the street and those who are, taking care of all the administrative work. But we hope to be able to support them so that they can do the job that they chose to do for us. And so public and safety, of course, to me is an important committee because you may or may not know that this district is the one that has experienced the greater number of homicides, the greater number of gang violence, and it goes on and on and on. I don't want to end on a bad note, but anyway, so it's an important committee to be on because we need to make sure that our residents are safe, that mothers can take their children out to the park and be safe, that we can walk when the sun goes down and be safe, that my mother can be safe when she is going about her business. So it's an important committee. So I'm on 3 committees, which means it generates a lot of work, but I'm happy to do it because this is where the important decisions are made and the plans for our district are decided. I was also assigned to the Mayor's Gang Task Force, which we know works diligently in this district and throughout the whole city of San Jose. But happy to be serving on it because it's worth some good policy in terms of how we handle and how we serve our youth, especially our youth at risk. So that's the Mayor's Gang Task Force. There's several others. VTA, of course. VTA is an important one, and that's because we're dealing with the district that is most dependent on public transportation. And as you know, what's happening down on Rock, those are all decisions that the VTA board is in charge of. Aside from the VTA board, I'm on the subcommittee of the VTA, which is the traffic congestion management. We deal with congestion, how to mitigate that. Besides that, it's the examination of the routes and the streets and whether or not we're doing a good job in terms of serving our those who are using public transportation. And then the last one that I can think of right now, but there's a few others, but the one that I'm also very excited about is I'm also on the Arts Commission. So we need to make sure that aside from having a safe city and a well-rounded city and a well-served community, that we foster the spirit of creativity and inspiration and imagination. Because if we don't have that, then all you have is a safe city and a city with great lights and great traffic ordinances. But you must foster imagination, creativity, and the nature in our children so that we can become truly the great city that we're destined to be. So those are the committees and the commissions that I serve on. There's a few more. Look on my website, I can't remember all of them. So we have a very busy, very busy office. And being there only 3 weeks, it really feels like 6 months. But I'm learning. You met Victor Gomez. I'm very happy to have Victor Gomez as my chief of staff. Because
They haven't met Victor yet.
Oh, they haven't met?
No.
So I'd like to introduce Victor Gomez. This is my chief of staff. This is your chief of staff. Victor Gomez, aside from, I think he deserves a... So Victor Gomez has been on the 18th floor for 2 years already. I like to let people know I kind of stole him from another council member with the council
We have
member's
these on the
permission.
table with for staff, phone numbers, emails.
Thank you. So Victor comes with a wealth of knowledge and experience. Aside from the fact that he's been on the 18th floor for 2 years, taking care of our residents in District 10 and in some really difficult neighborhoods. Victor also is an elected official in Hollister. He's a council member and was the mayor of Hollister. And so he has governance under his belt, and he has a wealth of experience in transportation because he's been
6 years as chairman of the San Diego County Transportation Agency.
right. So yes, I think that what struck me and what impressed me about Victor, besides what I just mentioned, is really also his personal background. This is a young man whose family, are like many of our families, have worked very hard in Hollister. Came from Mexico. He's one of the youngest of 9 children and really understands what sometimes our residents have to go through to just survive. And so I think he sets such a great example of a young man who went through many hardships. His family left everything that they understood and loved in their own homeland to come and find their American dream. And so Victor embodies to me that struggle and that American dream as well, because he has moved on to beat the odds and have a beautiful family, a successful family, very young family still. And he went on to really impact his hometown of Hollister. So I'm just really grateful that and honored that he would make a decision to be his council member, who he was very happy with, and take a chance on me. and serve our district. And I believe that he can serve you all very well.
Thank you for the kind words, boss.
Oh, my race.
But I'm not going to interrupt, but I just want to let you folks know we do have a sheet here that provides all of our staff information. We have an additional staff member coming on board, but we currently do have Omar, Sabrina, and Monica on our staff. They're here to work with all of you folks. If we haven't contacted your neighborhood association, please understand that every one of you leaders in District 5 do have a staff liaison to Councilmember Carrasco's office. So you do have a point person. You should have a point person. If you haven't been assigned one, contact me. My contact information is on there. You can reach me via Twitter or Facebook. You can text me. My cell phone number is on there. My office number. There's really, I can't avoid you. So feel free to get a hold of me anytime. Thank you, Councilmember.
Thank you.
Because we need someone like him that understands, that truly understands, because, you know, a lot of people, and I hear this with a lot of the families, you know, all these people are so educated, they learn everything from the book, but they don't really understand how we feel, or, you know, and some people say get over it. How do you get over it, Mara? You know, and yeah, I you know, have a lot of respect for a lot of immigrant families that can make that transition.
Right.
Because you sure the heck couldn't get me to leave everything that I have here and go to Vietnam.
Yeah.
Or
exactly.
Portugal even, you know,
Or
maybe
even
Portugal,
Mexico.
I can get, yeah, Mexico, not even, can't even get me to go to Tijuana right now.
No, I know.
Back in the day, yeah. But
Yeah.
no, but seriously, you know, when you have to pick up your whole family and leave into the unknown, I mean, that's why my heart just really goes out.
And I'm glad, thank you so much for saying that, because I appreciate the immigrant experience from my own personal family. But that's what our district is dealing with, the whole city of San Jose, but we're going to be concentrated here. And that's why it was so important for the rest of the council members and the mayor to make the decision to pass and approve a plan for a city office that deals with immigrant affairs. I think that is a historical moment for the city of San Jose, and I'm grateful that San Jose is that progressive, that we live in San Jose, the third largest city in the state of California, the 10th largest in the nation. We should have an office to deal with immigrant affairs. So I'm proud to be part of that historical moment and to have seen all the support from the side. The other question that I was asked is, what am I doing to support the 15 neighborhood associations? And we talked about some of that on Saturday, but let me tell you that every neighborhood has its own issues and its own concerns, very unique characteristics from one neighborhood group to the other. But what is common denominator across the board throughout the entire district? Surprise, surprise, blight, illegal dumping, traffic, and public safety. Yes, absolutely. So those are common denominators. I'm going to tell you that they're actually common denominators throughout the whole entire city, but we're going to definitely address it here. And we have gotten some wonderful phone calls from residents to alert us of illegal dumping, litter that has been there over a year with no response whatsoever from our city. And if they're not responding to you, you need to contact your representative. In this case, it's me. Because my job is to advocate for you and make sure that the services are being rendered to our district, just like in any other district. But I think that we have felt ignored for way too long, and we have felt that we have not been at the table. So that is going to change if I have to knock those down myself. So what happened at Kentucky Place is that they had had blight, and they had garbage for over a year with no one taking care of it. And so my staff got on it immediately. We moved forward. Within 17 hours of that phone call, it was taken care of. And so there are some other areas that we're taking care of as well. Some of them are a little bit more complicated because they're dealing with homelessness. So after they dismantled the jungle, folks had to go somewhere else, and some of them ended up in our district, near the freeways especially, because it's Caltrans property. Now, I want you to understand something about Caltrans property. I can't do anything about Caltrans property except call Caltrans and have an expectation that they deal with it. In the next month or so, we will be adopting a plan on how to deal with the homeless issue, which is growing, and it is, and so we need to deal with it in a very humane manner. Make sure that those who are also our residents, even though they're homeless, they're our residents, and they're our neighbors, and they're someone's brother and sister, they're someone's child. They need to be supported and helped and transitioned into a safer environment. So we will be meeting with Caltrans, the Senator Bill's office, the County of Santa Clara, to find other solutions on how to deal with this and how to work with these folks that really need our help. So we are very actively exploring ways on how to do that, but we will be, as a city, adopting a plan that's coming before us over the next month or so, where there is a very aggressive plan to house over 6,000 of the homeless in the county. So there is something coming down the pipeline, but what I'm letting them know is I understand the long-term vision, but we have an immediate need, and so we need to deal with the immediate need as safely and as humanely as possible. So we'll be working with that.
Do we know what is Caltrans property and not? I mean, I wouldn't even know.
Caltrans is, so it's the highways, 280, 101, 680, and it's the entrances and the exits.
Oh, okay. But it's not like in a neighborhood.
No, it's not a neighborhood, although we're working with a neighborhood right now to clean it up. And they're flushed right up against 680. And so it's just a little fence that divides the neighborhood from Caltrans property. So you wouldn't know it's Caltrans property, except that they're telling you it's Caltrans property because it looks like it's part of the neighborhood. It runs right up against the highway.
So basically, it's just on the freeways and everything.
No, they're complaining about a lot of other places where they're forming their encampment. But you know, as part of their survival strategies is that they find the Caltrans properties because it takes Caltrans a lot longer to respond than the city center. So if you're looking for a temporary place to stay, you're going to look for some place where they're not going to come after you as quickly as the city center. So this is what I mean. If folks are just trying to survive and they're trying to have shelter and protect themselves from the elements, so under bridges, where the brush is high, where they can kind of hide, and they're going to find a temporary home.
How about blight in the foothills? That's become, and always has been, a dumping ground for almost anything. But now I'm noticing a lot of dumping grounds going to Story Road, finding Elm Rock. Now, Elm Rock Avenue, is that considered a highway Caltrans?
So Alum Rock from White Road going west. Is that White Road?
Yes.
Right here, yeah, right here, going west. I'm sorry, I never know really quite where I am. And so White Road going west, up towards downtown, that's the city of San Jose. And from White Road going east is California.
She's referring to Alum Rock.
Yes.
Yeah, what did I say?
White Road
Oh,
is.
no, I'm sorry, Alum Rock,
Alum
I'm talking about
Rock.
Alum Rock, yeah. see,
So is that Caltrans?
So-
Going east? Going east?
Yeah, going east is not, it's the county pocket.
That's where
So
that's where the
if
problem
you're,
is.
and that's where the, yeah. So county pockets are not, even though they're in our geographical area, are not part of the city of San Jose,
So we don't call their office.
the county.
So
So
we don't call
I'm
it-
part of that relationship because I'm in that boat. I live in the county by a smidgen.
I know,
And
I know.
it's complicated.
It is complicated.
And I'm stationed up there too, bringing in like the clearinghouse of resources to the immigrant families that live up there.
So,
The
yes.
city will not go up there and take their
So
resources.
the services themselves, police, our police officers are not going to take the calls from county pockets. That's the sheriff's department. So there are some clear distinctions when you're a city in a city zone or in your county pocket. So the county pockets will have all their services offered to them by the county.
Not by you.
In fact, even in campaigns, you don't get to vote for your representative other than the county board of supervisors, but you don't get to choose your mayor.
Really quick, one ahead.
Oh, yeah, I just had a question. So, well, let me point out, District 5 United has always been inclusive, and so whether you're county or city, you are part of our community. And I just wanted to make sure for a lot of people, it's hard to figure out county versus city, et cetera. And so is it okay for community members to reach out to your office and then could be redirected?
So we understand the complications,
In the
especially
past,
in this area.
In the past, we would.
No, no.
We would call our
And
representatives.
you can absolutely call us. You can call us. Even though I'm not your representative in that way, we understand the relationship between one neighbor and another. You know, those gang violence doesn't necessarily distinguish the borders, right? Estamos sin fronteras, right? And so we are going to try and help you the best that we can. We cannot send the services to you, so as long as we understand that. But I think that we can go ahead and direct you to where you need to be directed to, to get those services.
Let me just say this. On Saturday, I did approach Councilmember Carrasco and asked, is there any way we could form some sort of system where there's a representative that represents the unincorporated part of San Jose? Because we are San Joseans.
Right.
We are, absolutely 100%. And she said she'd look into it, but she's 3 weeks into the job, and obviously she has to take care of what she has to take care
So
of.
one of the things that Gustavo and I were talking about just briefly on that Saturday, and I had kind of like an aha moment, was, you have commissions and you have committees, you have boards that the city of San Jose has set up, and some of you may already serve on it. But what we don't have is, that I know of, and Victor, since you've been on the job 2 years, maybe you can tell me, I don't think we have a representative of the unincorporated areas that are within our city, but are not part of the city. They're county pockets, where they can voice their concerns and their issues. And maybe we cannot cross over those, and I don't know how that works.
Because we've asked that question. I've asked that question for years. And that's why I kind of left the city, went into the unincorporated area the past 2 years, but it's, five years. But we were so underserved with no supervisor who represented us in that district. Very sure Cal was out.
But you have City Chavez.
Yes, we do. And in the past 2 years, the one that's really helped us a lot, Larry Escobar, from the San
Okay.
Rosenden,
Or
Mary
Jason
Hodge.
said that.
Yeah.
And so but our voices are not heard,
Right.
so we just do our own thing.
So I think that there's a way, I'm hoping that there's a way that we can form an ad hoc committee. I'm not exactly sure what this is.
Yeah, we did, Gustavo, I did receive your note the other day, and we actually already, it's only been 3 weeks, but we actually already have staff working on that. So we are talking to planning right now regarding the unincorporated pockets. We're going to clearly identify them. That way we know who we need to work with within those boundaries. And then also I want to let you folks know, I could send Juan may already have it actually, but if you go to the Santa Clara County Register Our Voters website, there's actually a quick link on there. All you have to do there is type your address and it'll tell you exactly who your representative is. So if you input your address on there, it'll actually tell you if you're incorporated, it'll have Councilmember Carrasco. If you're unincorporated, it will state that and tell you who your supervisorial district, which supervisorial district you're in. So it'll clearly identify that.
But what I want to add to that is I've been in conversations with Supervisor Chavez, and she's very eager to find ways that we can work together and serve the exact same residents that are in both our districts. We have an overlapping district, right? And so I think that this is a great point of conversation that we can begin to have with her and figure out what kind of structure would be the best to set up so that you do feel like you have representation and a voice in the city of San Jose.
We were very honored to have her at our last, because I do for that area several little programs that we had at
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I love your comments, but we're going to have to limit them because we have a lot more to discuss, but thank
But-
you, I want to
but
be
we are
respectful here.
definitely going to look into that, and I'm glad that,
Okay,
that
so,
Victor's looking.
Juan?
I just have a quick one, I think Trudy had one. So one thing that you might look into is the plan for annexation of unincorporated areas.
Mhm.
For example, this neighborhood, Lindale, about 75% was unincorporated up until within the last 5 years. And there are other pockets that are to be annexed, and it's up to the city to decide when. And perhaps that's something that you could help speed up.
So,
Or clarify.
or clarify, because,
There's some people
because
that
my
don't want to be
understanding is
annexed,
that
right?
some people don't
You've got
want
two
to
sides
annex.
to the story. Let me ask a quick question. How many of you guys are live in the unincorporated area of San Jose? So probably more than half of the people here, just to give you a perspective.
But personally,
Now-
I really want to be annexed.
No.
I love the fact that I live on the.
So that's a whole separate conversation, you guys. I don't want to open that can of worms. Not, right now, we want to listen to Councilmember Carrasco and her plans. I hope you guys can see her energy and her fire and her enthusiasm.
Thank you for that. Can I tell you part of the
Trudy,
other?
really quick, if you wanted to.
Councilmember, when you start your fourth week next week.
Okay, yes.
What thoughts can you give to the local economy? In the south end of the district, we've lost 2 grocery stores recently. Safeway is moving to the Lucky, that was near Eastridge. We have terrific specialty markets, and they're wonderful, but we don't have any markets that specialize in organics or have larger selections of fresh produce. Yeah.
Well, I go all the way
No
to
more than our.
District 10, which is over in the Boston Hills area when I bought that. So aside from giving them my entire check, I also spend money, just driving all there. But, so I think that's a fair question. We met with Planning and Code just a few days ago. And on any given day, any given month of the year, you have the vast majority of development taking place near the core or the center of San Jose. So Willow Glen area was District 3 because it's the core of our city, and that tends to be where most of the development is going up. And there's a lot of incentives that have been offered to developers and investors, and so people are building their buildings and investing in their parks, and all kinds of really exciting things are happening. And so when I ask the question, well, why isn't it happening in East San Jose? So at any given time, there's 50 to 60 projects taking place near the port. On any given day, there's 12 to 15 in East San Jose. So the question is, are we not providing the same types of incentives? Are we creating those all too many common obstacles that usually prevent investors from coming in? That could be part of it, and believe me, I'm looking into that right now. Or what are the ways that we can encourage development? And what I was told is the following. One is that we need to look to see structurally if there's anything that we can do. The other is that there has been a perception that this is not the place to invest. Okay. That's okay, right? That's okay, because we are in a new moment in history where we're going to change that. And the way that we change it is we remove those obstacles, we create incentives, and we help people imagine the vision that we have for our district. There's a reason why we choose to live here, right? And it's not just because it's affordable, it's because we believe in the dynamic energy that is District 5, that is San Jose. And I will call on you to be my ambassadors to carry that message forward. I will call on you when we have meetings with investors and developers so that they can understand why this is a great place to invest in. And so I will just give you a quick example because I'm going to allow Captain Knox to speak as well. But a couple of things. I want you all to look up when you get a chance, Midtown New York, Bryant Park. They had over 500 felonies a year. Felonies taking place a year. The buildings around them, which were skyscrapers, were only at 30% capacity because when the landlords, the building owners, were signing on a new tenant, which were office buildings, they had to disclose and tell them, when your employees leave at the end of the day, make sure they hurry up to the subway, because they might get killed. Or they may get raped. Or they may be robbed or assaulted. So if you're a business owner, why would you rent in that area? But they did some really creative financing to change the park that was creating all the light and that was attracting all of this element. They did some really creative financing and they did some creative programming and turned the passive park into an active park. And now you have 3,000 to 5,000 people that funnel into this park on a daily basis, where men and women will meet their spouses, where they go envision their future, because that's how vibrant that area has become. And so now they're at 98% capacity in terms of the buildings that are all around them. So there are ways to change the environment and the creativity that has hindered maybe some of this investment. So I will call on you, because you will be my ambassadors, and to get that message across. And look who's here. You can ask me the same questions that you were asking me. And that's a great opportunity.
I just want to say you're awesome. You know,
Amen.
We wish we had, we were told we had, but, you know, people can talk and talk and talk, but their actions speak a million words.
Well, I'm
And it
hoping
seems like in your 3 weeks, you call yourself a newbie, that you know she's a worker, because, you know, you have to have that drive. And, you know, you look wonderful, you speak well, and, you know, your actions, I mean, I've been keeping up on you, and, and no, you know, it's like you're speaking our language.
Well,
You're speaking our language.
and I appreciate you.
You know, I mean, and everything, there's no reason to complain, because you've already been complained and answered. You know, and it's kind of like a parent. So, you know, assure your children, you're assuring us, and it's just like, yeah, we're here, we'll be the ambassadors,
Thank
we'll be this,
Thank
you
you so
know.
much. And you humble me with your words. And I'll tell you that I'm very grateful that in June, those of you who came out to vote, voted me into office. Well, and I thank you for that. Because I'm also raising my two children in this area. And I want to work with Captain Knox and with Sandra Alina to make sure that our neighborhood is safe. Because I want my kids to raise their children here. Because it is a dynamic and exciting district
You don't
to
see
live
the
in.
seniors no more walking out with their wives or wishing their moms, you don't see that anymore. And, I mean, when I see it, it's beautiful.
So we're going to have maybe 5 to 7 minutes for questions. So this is your time to ask Councilmember Carrasco if you have any questions. Yes.
Yeah, I have a question, the same for the Administrative Commissioner. With regards to the drone, UAS program that's happening, I was wondering if she's heard of the surveillance and community safety ordinance that's going on at the ACLU and the East Side.
And I'm not well versed on that. So I'm not embarrassed to tell you guys when I'm not well versed on something, I'm learning everything. And I'm hoping that, I was actually hoping that Captain Knox would address that issue, since this is going to fall in your realm of professionalism.
Well, maybe Juan has some information for you.
I was just going to let you know, and I let them know before you arrived, there will be a community meeting. It's an excellent question to pose at the community meeting that will be held in February. It will be sponsored by the Neighborhoods Commission of the City of San Jose. And the location is still being determined, so is the date. We'll let you know as soon as you know, unless you
Mayfair Community Center on the 14th.
February 14th, Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
Wow, what a way to spend your
It's a
Valentine's.
day to have that conversation. Yeah, and in Spanish, it's called el Día de la Amistad. It's Friendship Day, so.
And
But
that's
I
it.
said we bring in
No,
every
I
issue
my wife was
that
like, yeah, come on, let's go to a meeting about drones.
And for clarity, that's a meeting where the San Jose Police Department is seeking your input regarding the proposed use of an unmanned aerial system, a drone. They're eager to hear what you have to say. The Neighbors Commission is honored to be able to facilitate this for you, and we look forward to that question.
Okay, other questions?
Do we
Okay,
know
I
that?
have a few questions, and then. So one of my things that I don't like about our community is the fact that our libraries close a lot.
Yeah.
And I know we have a lot of really strong and committed community members that would be more than happy to volunteer to keep this place open and our youth centers and other facilities. How do we get there?
So, it's funny because on Saturday, right, we were sitting here with this whole community and lo and behold, right in front of us, a family came in and found closed doors, right? We're horrible sight when you bring children in to do their homework. So I met with the director of library services just the day after we were here, or 2 days. We were here on Saturday, so I met with her on Monday. And so there are some very welcome news that I can tell you will be coming down the pipeline very, very soon. She has become very creative in finding ways to cut costs. Some of it will be volunteerism, but they have figured out ways how to maximize those times that we can actually have them open. And so she's played around a lot with the schedule. There is also a fund that was reserved in case the parcel tax, the library parcel tax was not going to pass. So there's some funds that they have sort of wait for just in case of an emergency, just in case it didn't pass. Now it passed, but those funds are only to maintain what we currently have. So that fund that they had kind of stashed away, that's available for the libraries to use. And they're trying to understand the legal venues on how they can actually pull that money out and extend the hours and make sure that our children are well served. Now, we have one library that's open on Saturdays. The intention is that both libraries will be open on Saturdays. And they're even exploring the possibility of at least one on Sunday. But at least for now, what we're hearing, what I heard from her is that we'll go back to 6-day schedule. So it's great news. And the programming that they'll be doing is also going to be very robust and offering academic and tutoring programs for our students and be able to expose them to materials and things that they haven't been exposed yet to. So some good things are really coming down the pipeline for the libraries, and that could happen after that Saturday when we're not here.
And how soon is that going to happen?
Well, it needs to go before the council to get approved, so I would say in the next several months. We'll see some change. But they will call on you for some volunteer help. It won't be as much as you were suggesting, but we will need some help.
Okay, one more question right there.
Thanks. Code enforcement on businesses not maintaining their property up and down on and White Road. Why is it so difficult? Those two roads I just mentioned versus when the other parts of San Jose where it looks like they do keep the property in, and you go to government stores, and we mentioned it to them, but it goes on deaf ears. So
I get to go on a ride-along, which I think is more, a ride-along with code enforcement, I think is more dangerous than a ride-along with one of your patrol. Because, this is the one department.
I know, it's exactly like that, but who's in charge when we really have to get on there, because it's really a dumping zone now.
So what we're going to do is we're going to give you a list of resources and phone numbers of where you can call specifically for issues of concern. So you can always call our office.
Yes.
I always want you to see our office as the first resort, and the second, and the third. But I'm also going to give you the numbers, the contact information for those departments. So code enforcement is going to be a big one. Planning is also for those of you who want to upgrade your house or make changes to your garages for whatever reason. Those would be the numbers that you'd be calling. If you have graffiti, if you have illegal dumping, there is an internal policy. When you call to report illegal dumping, they should be out here within 48 hours. If they're not, you should be calling us.
Council, just to let you know, if you submit a report online for illegal dumping, the auto response that you get back is 15 to 18 days.
It is, yeah, it's currently actually up to 18 days currently. So if you do see debris on the roadway, go to streets.dispatch at sanjoseca.gov. But if it is definitely a heightened situation, send it to them, but copy us. So send it to streets.dispatch, but please copy District 5 at sanjoseca.gov. In that way, we get alerted to that specific issue. We don't always have the opportunity to directly, deal with these issues with our streets department, but if it is a pending emergency issue, we can get them out there fairly quickly.
I have a resource here, guys. It's a list of all of those numbers that you're asking for. Graffiti, housing, dumping, lights, towing, you name it. It's all here. There's about 30 different numbers that you can contact. It is due and current, yes. This year, every year, I put it in my calendar.
That's great.
And it helps. So let's give Councilmember Carrasco a big round.
And thank you so much again. You have our contact and our information. Monica Kitchener, Omar Torres, Sabrina Parra Garcia, Victor Gomez, and myself are here to serve. And I want you to feel free to give us a call. That's your office. And we may be on the 18th floor, but you are welcome to come anytime that you want. But I'm more than happy to come here. In fact, I prefer it. And be with you as well and support your efforts in helping change a lot of what needs to be changed in District 5 in San Jose. So, you know what? Because we were talking about changing and you're my ambassadors, hashtag East San Jose matters. Hashtag East San Jose matters. Please use that, post pictures. We're very excited that it's catching on, that people are using it. Even our other council members are referring to it that way. So with your help, I believe that there are some really great things coming in our direction. So I thank you again.
Okay, so we have Supervisor Chavez here. She wants to say a few things. She wants to talk about BART really quick and fireworks. Two things that have been on the mind of some of our residents here. So let's give her a warm welcome, guys.
Well, good evening, everyone. You're still hanging in? So a couple things. I wanted to do a check-in on two local things and then one regional issue that it would be great to get people's help on. So let me just talk about BART for a minute. As you know, there's been a lot of kerfluffle about the 28th Street BART station and whether or not there's going to be money to build it. One of the next steps that Valley Transportation Authority is already going to have to do is we have to do what's called an environmental scoping of the alignment. And what that really means is that people get to raise issues and concerns and we look at what the implications and impacts of that are going to be. Now, one environmental assessment has already been done because as we were looking to build a line the first time, we ended it at Berryessa because we didn't have enough money to take it all the way to Deer Knot. So a lot of that work has already been done. A lot of neighbor engagement. I'm sure a number of you have been to 4,000 meetings about it. But this is our chance to reevaluate, not to reevaluate, frankly, but to go through the environmental process again. One of the requests that got made from the community, because people were concerned about the idea that VTA was going to drop an examination of the 28th Street station and also potentially the Santa Clara station, because if you all remember, the alignment today will end at Berryessa. It'll open in 2003 or maybe 2007. Isn't it? It feels like we've been working on this since I was 12. So now, like, oh my God, it's finally going to open. But anyway, I know it is. But upon the closure and the completion of that, we're beginning the fundraising phase for the next phase. And what we have to do is put together what's called a full funding grant agreement with the federal government. And that requires us to take a number of these steps. Now, when the community heard there was going to be potentially an abandonment of two sites, the Santa Clara one and the 28th Street site, everybody went crazy and hog wild, which was great. And that caused VTA to come out. It caused VTA to come out and say, our bad, we won't have another conversation with the community. Now, for those of you who were involved the last time we did this, you may recall that we put together two public working groups, and they were called our communities. Well, actually, they were not fancy titles, community working group. And what we did is we took about 15 activists and community leaders who lived proximate to each of the stations, and we assigned a VTA staff person to keep them in the loop before every meeting, like to go through documents, make sure people knew the technical side of it, because frankly, for a lot of us, that's not as fun. But we have a lot of really smart people that live in San Jose, and they wanted to look at every document. And what that meant was, that we had the community evaluating information before it came forward, and frankly, giving feedback to how the information could be presented in a better, more understandable way. So we're going to begin the process of taking volunteers for the community working groups, and we're going to assign them by station. Both Magdalena and I serve on the Valley Transportation Authority, so one of our responsibilities is going to be to manage and watch that process, and also, frankly, to make sure that we stay ahead of all of the new activities that are happening with the BART, not just the BART station, but the entire BART alignment. So Magdalena probably told you she just got on the board of a VTA. Javier represented us on that board beforehand. Clara has been a real ally of ours to make sure the 28th station, so did Javier, but to make sure that 28th station stayed in. Magdalena and I are going to have to work very closely to continue that kind of watchfulness, and we're going to need your help to do that. When we look for volunteers, one thing I'm going to ask is people can sign up for those subcommittees. My only request is that you actually have the time. That you actually have the time to do it, because otherwise it's a spot where we can have someone who could be asking questions and really stay on top of it. But we'll let you know more about that. There are community meetings coming up. I'm embarrassed that I can't remember, but you two have been to as many meetings about BART as I have. When are the first ones happening? I took it on the spot. So we're going to
The 19th is the one that's American Heritage.
Oh, great. Good,
There's
good,
one on
good.
the 17th, downtown center, the VTA Community Center on Santa Clara. And there's one the week before in
Santa Clara.
City.
Right. So, any questions about BART in general, the planning of that? No?
It's great to hear that you're committed to helping make sure it gets built.
Oh my God, I have to tell you, the first community meeting I ever did when I was 12, and I'm not even kidding when I tell you this, I was 22 years old, and I went to the Portuguese Community Center, came out to Trinity Church, anyway, all these different churches, Father Bob Moran, all these folks helped advocate for this, right? And so the idea that that station wouldn't be, I have to tell you, like I was at a meeting, I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like we went out, we told people we were going to do this, so anyway, but we're going to have a fight about it, because all of this stuff is expensive to build, and we're going to have to go out for a tax, which is the other, frankly, the leverage the community has.
So
Right?
you know what, guys? Really sorry, we don't have any more time for questions about this. We have a separate meeting that we can focus because we have other presenters. So
Oh,
if
I'm
you can
sorry.
talk about fireworks next. that
Yeah,
would be-
this will be quick, because actually Magdalena said, we're going to talk about fireworks, and she's right. You may recall that last summer we started the outreach for the first time, and frankly, nobody had money, and that a bunch of our partners got cut.
Good start.
What's that? Yeah, we did. Yeah, and let me just say, this is why these meetings are really important. You all generated this. This came from you guys, and we got a lot of people rolling, right? What we have done at the county level is the county has set aside some money to hire public information officers, which we didn't have, to do communications early. But what I've asked them to do is to make time to come out and do a meeting just on fireworks. We haven't had a chance to coordinate with Magdalena's office, but we're going to want Magdalena, Raul, and Tam all in one spot to really have a conversation in the early quarter about how we're going to prepare for July. One really sad bit of news, but also, we can use this for what it is. We know that a lot of the really dangerous fireworks are actually being sold here in our community. And so one area and body of work that we're going to try to collaborate with the San Jose Police Department on is how we start to, for lack of a better word, get on some people and hold them accountable early and publicly for selling. You may remember there was a gentleman who blew off his hands last year, and he's also agreed to do a public information, I know horrible, right? But he's agreed to do a public information campaign with us because he wants to be able to say how deadly it was. And the fireworks he bought here. It wasn't like he drove over, Las Vegas. So we're going to come back to you on that, but like I said, I'd like it to be a joint meeting, and we've got a lot of catching up to do. So we've got not only all these new council members, but we've also hired some new staff with the county that can collaborate with the fire department and the San Jose PD, which we're excited to continue to do. And one last thing, I will just wrap up and say, I'm always happy to come back. I'm sorry I was a little bit late, but I seem to come right on time. My son had a basketball game, so I was mom going, woo, and then, oh my God, yeah. But what I wanted to say is we did a gun buyback in partnership with the San Jose Police Department. right before Christmas?
December 14th.
It was the Sandy Hook Elementary anniversary, and we had more guns returned in San Jose than any other gun fight out in the Bay Area that happened at that same time. And I really wanted to thank the PD and also to you, because, you know, Sandra, was all, the